In a lot of applications, we have what we call master detail. So here's the list of contacts that we built in the last section. If I tap on a contact, we go to a new page where we can see details about that contact. Now here, for simplicity, I'm only displaying the contact's name. We could display tens of properties here, but the technique for implementing master detail is exactly the same. Also, note that the page title is set to the contact's name. So let's see how we can implement a very simple master detail in Xamarin Forms. In this demo, I'll be working with two pages. Contacts page, where we have a list view to display the list of contacts. And we also have contact detail page, where we have a label to display contact's name. Now, if you want to code along with me, you can download both these pages in a zip file attached to this lecture. So let's see what's involved in implementing master detail. First, I'm going to go in the contacts page. When the user taps on a contact, we want to navigate them to the target page. So the first step is to handle the selection. Here, in the list view, we handle item selected event. So you can see in the code behind, I've initialized item source to a list with two contacts. Again, this is available for you to download as part of this lecture. Now, in the selection, first we need to get the currently selected contact. So e.selectedItem as contact. Now we want to send the user to the target page. So we use the navigation property for that. Navigation dot push async. The target page is new contact detail page. Now, as part of the navigation, we need to send this contact object to the target page. How can we do it? On Xamarin documentation, as well as the free ebook available for download, you will see three ways to send data to the target page. One is via the constructor. So we add the contact here. The other is via setting a contact property, something like this. And the third way is to set the binding context, like this. Now, which approach should we use? I personally consider the second and third approaches as poor practices, even though you find them in Xamarin documentation as well as their free 1000-page ebook. Why is that? Because from an object design perspective, it does not make sense to initialize a contact detail page that does not have a contact. It just doesn't make sense. This page is responsible for displaying a contact, so contact should be given to this class at the time of initialization. So I'm going to pass contact here, which means we should go in the code behind for this page, add this parameter, contact. I also want to make sure that this contact is not null. So if contact is null, throw new argument null exception. Let's resolve the namespace. So that's in the system namespace. This technique is what we call defensive programming, and it's a way to ensure that our objects are in the right state. And with this, we can prevent further problems down the track. So we send the contact object here. Now it's the responsibility of this class to set its binding context. So binding context, we set it to this contact. Now in the XAML file, since this contact is in our binding context, we can use a binding expression here. So I'm going to bind the text property of the label to the name of the contact. I can also set the title of the page to a binding expression, binding to name. And of course, here we could have 10 other labels to display other properties of a contact. Now the last step. In the app class, we want to wrap this in a new navigation page like this. Let's run the application. So we tap a contact, we go to the target page. Beautiful. Just one problem. The item is still selected. So we need to explicitly deselect it. Here in the handler for item selected, first, I want to put a wait here. So after push async is completed, I'm going to set list view that selected item to null. And by the way, we should also put async here. Now, if we run this application now, when we set selected item to null, this is going to trigger another item selected event. So here in this handler, first we want to make sure that e.selected item is not null. So if it's null, we want to return immediately. Let's run the application again. So tap, come back, and the item is deselected. So this is how we implement a very simple master detail. We also have a type of page called master detail page, and that's a topic for the next lecture.